Hello and welcome to the Eclecticum for a new video on a new watch for 2021. And what we have in front of us now is the IWC Pilot's Chronograph in 41mm, which has been presented today. And it looks quite similar to the predecessor, particularly if we think about the Le Petit Prince special edition that has the same or similar brush blue dial. But it really pays out to look a little bit deeper and consider the subtle and not so subtle or more significant changes. So in very short terms, we have a smaller diameter, 41 compared to 43mm of the predecessor. We have a slightly slimmer case, 14.5 compared to 15.4mm. At the same time, the water resistance increased from 60 meters to 100 meters. And there are some other changes as well. Now, if you look at the dial, and particularly the layout, you think, well, that's quite familiar. It's a similar layout to the well-known Valjoux 7750 movement, which was the engine for the previous chronograph. Now, IWC upgraded the watch with its own in-house movement. We come to that in a minute. And with it, we have some changes in the dial layout. While we still have the 12, 6, and 9 o'clock positions, we now have the permanent seconds located at 6, the minutes counter at 12 o'clock, and the hours counter at 9. Everything else is fairly known. Also, the weekday and the date arrangement, just with the Valjoux movement. With the reduction of the diameter, we have some subtle changes to the dial, and it's not quite obvious if you look at it right now, but if you see a comparison, you notice that, for example, the indices between the outer edge of the dial and the numerals, they are smaller, just to accommodate the decrease in the diameter. What we also have is, if we look at the other side, we have a crystal back to appreciate the movement. We come to this in a second. And this is quite interesting. We have a double-edged bezel, which I guess is responsible for the reduction in thickness. And this system is the same as in the newly revised Omega Speedmaster. But now let's take a look at the movement. The movement in the IWC Pilot's Chronograph is the IWC caliber 69385, which is just a version of their recently presented in-house chronograph movements. It's column wheel operated and has a central rotor. It has a horizontal clutch with a pivoting pinion to control it. And it has a fairly conventional escapement with Etachron regulators. If you carefully look at the movement, you notice that the overall layout is quite similar to what Longines did to the Valjoux 7750. If you look at the position of the escapement, the position of the column wheel, it's all very similar. Also, they share the same 28,800 Hertz escapement and a similar power reserve. In this case, it's 46 hours. So I really wonder whether this is a drop in replacement for the 70-70-50. Other than that, we see some decoration. We have some perlage on the bottom plate and circular stripes on the automatic winding bridge. Other than that, there is no anglage whatsoever. So it's something, I guess, it's quite appropriate for the watch. So it's a fine finishing. It's not exuberant. It's technically certainly very well done. So quite appropriate, and particularly if you think about the IWC company, which always made or was famous for its more workman, engineer-like watches. One thing I should mention here is, and it really is quite impressive, if you operate the chronograph, if you push the buttons, it's very precise. Just if you hear the click, it's well defined. It's really smooth. So it's a lot better than the previous Valjo versions. And clearly, I guess that IWC has worked a lot also on the case internal parts, like the pusher mechanism, the lever mechanism, which connects the pusher to the movement. So this is really, really well done for a chronograph in this price range. So that's the movement, and then I would like to draw your attention to the strap attachment. The strap system. So you might have noticed already those squares here with the IWC engraving. Now, those are actually push buttons that you use to operate the quick release mechanism that is now standard on all straps here for this reference. So whether you have a rubber strap like here, or a leather strap, or the bracelet. The bracelet, by the way, is something that is worth some attention as well, but let's deal with the strap first. So you push the button here and slide the strap out to the top. So there is the closing mechanism, and what you see, what remains here between the lugs, is a standard spring bar, which means you can take it out and replace it with any matching strap you might have. So it's a proprietary system, but it's still universal in terms of the straps you want to mount. And if you put it back in, you slide it in from the top, you hear 2 clicks, and then it's securely fastened. So let's put it on. So. Now let's exchange the strap for a bracelet. The spring bars remain, but before I attach it to the case, let's have a look at this wonderful bracelet. It's a completely new design for IWC. It's 5-element construction with brushed outer elements, a polished inner section, the central section again brushed, and then the same to the other side. And what you noticed is that the outer edges here are chamfered and polished, but it's only the outer edges. You have a solid clasp, 2 push buttons. It's not a butterfly type, but it's a 3-part construction. And you know this already probably. That's a micro adjustment, which again operates by pushing the IWC button, and then you can slide out and in this bracelet to adjust it to your size. Very convenient, and it's not too thick, relatively speaking. Another feature of the IWC bracelet is that you can replace each and any element with a special tool. So that's very serviceable also for many years to come, provided you have still the spare parts. Okay, let's finish it. Again, you slide the end piece in from the top and it fastens with 2 clicks. And we should take a look here. It's not easily visible, but the spring bar here acts only as a guide. The bracelet clicks into the case itself, and here's a latch which you push away from the case, and then you slide out the then you slide out the bracelet to the top. So. The bracelet feels extremely solid. There is no squeaking. It doesn't pull hair. It really feels like a quality product. So here we are with the new IWC Pilot's Chronograph in 41mm with smaller 41mm case. It's slimmer. It has a higher water resistance. The watch has an in-house movement, and the price unfortunately also has a little bit increased. The base version on the strap is now available for 6,900 euros, and with the bracelet it's 7,600 euros. That is between 1,000 and 700 euros more compared to the predecessor. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.